Steve, what's up, man?
My brother, my brother. How are you?
I'm really good, man. Thank you for being so patient, man. I think we had to move this thing twice. And I didn't, when I was talking to Swin, your wife, I didn't move that one. You never move wife. You don't move wife.
Never, never, never. And thank you for that. It kept her
No,
happy home.
absolutely, absolutely, man. I got so many questions for you. But I want to jump right into it because, I was interviewing Chauncey. Did you see that one I did with Chauncey, who's over at
Yes.
Pepsi?
Pepsi, yep.
So many people learn from him. And the reason why I want to point out that, executives like you and Chauncey and people of color who are behind the scenes moving pulling a lot of the strings, people don't get to see who you are. They just see the brand, but they don't realize the brand has faces behind them. And the way that you think and you unravel things in such a calculated way because you're representing Fortune 500 companies. Listen, I go out there and I want to put out something. I'm the boss. It's my brand, right? And I don't have a Fortune 500 company. I don't have shareholders. I don't have people who can potentially litigate because it's the wrong thing or you left somebody out. You guys got a lot of roadblocks that you have to deal with. So I want people to get to see and get to hear the way that you think, whether you're on the brand side or sometimes when you are on the pitching side representing them. So I wrote down a couple of questions and I'm just going to really ask you about it. So first of all, I want to talk to you about HBCU change. What motivated you to create this this product that basically all your spare change or your spare change can go to HBCUs after you purchase something? What motivated you to do that? And tell me the process on how you created it.
Absolutely. So this platform was 2 years in the making. And it was us, as you know, in business, number one rule is you try to fill a void, you try to solve a problem, right? And when you think about HBCUs and the issues that they're facing today, especially with COVID, there's some underlying things that they were facing prior to COVID, but during COVID, it's taken it tenfold, right? So when you think about HBCUs, they're facing dropout rates that are unprecedented because students can't go on campus. So what does that do? That impacts dollars that are coming on to the universities. When you think about giving back, right? For a PWI, a predominantly white institute, in their coffers, they'll have about an average $350 million that they could bank on if something goes wrong, right? This is people donating, giving back throughout the years. For an HBCU, the average is $8 million. So there's a huge gap when you think about who's giving back. So what did we do? We interviewed 5,000 alumni of HBCUs and asked them, number one, why don't you give back? And their responses were, we never been asked. And two is we didn't feel as if we can give back enough to make a difference because you often see these one-time big donations to these HBCUs. So we wanted to create a solve for the HBCUs. So we did some research. We got some of the best technology folks who develop apps and tried to come up with an app that could give back seamlessly without you having to think about it and feeling bad if you're not giving $100,000 check or $1 million check. So through HBCU change, it rounds up to the nearest dollar. So through every transaction that you make, if you buy a cup of coffee for $3.50, that 50 cents will roll up to $4 and it'll go to the HBCU of your choice. There's 103 accredited HBCUs. So if you want to donate to Clark, if you want to donate to Dillard, if you want to donate to Morehouse, if you want to donate to, Spelman, whichever HBCU it is, you can do that through this app. You link your cards and it rolls up and donates right to the university.
And I think that's incredible because, first of all, you obviously shared the plight. But a lot of people right now, like I've learned with Bombas, a lot of people right now go, you know what? I can buy something from anybody at any time. But now I want to know that when I buy something, that person is doing better for the world and is making the world a better place. So could people use this app and actually put it onto their site for, let's say, a lot of my people here have their own Shopify pages and various other things. Can they do that as well? Because I think, listen, at the end of the day, what I love now and where people can learn from you right now is, even if they have a brand or a product, make sure your product aligns itself with something that you are truly passionate about, that does well for the world. Because people love to, as I've said it a million times, tomorrow, Thanksgiving, when somebody's out there saying, well, I gave away turkeys yesterday, which hopefully would be great, or they worked at a pantry or various other things, somebody may be sitting at the table and they say, well, I gave 100 times this year. How did you give 100 times? Because every time I bought this, my spare change went to a HBCU. Every time I bought this, I helped stop human trafficking. And every time I bought this, I helped take illegal guns off the streets, right? So I think that this is really great, and people can learn from your need to want to help solve a problem. So many of us think that what we do doesn't necessarily matter unless we do it big. But if everybody does it a little, it creates significant change.
And to that point, when you think about HBCU change, right? We'll take.
Hold on. Yo, George. I want you to lock in and brand significant change before one of the bloodsuckers on here do that. All right, just make sure we get that. Always thinking, baby. All right, go ahead. Trademark.
No, I'm saying, and to that point, we'll use, Clark Atlanta as an example. They have 40,000 alumni, right? If we get a quarter of that, 10,000 people who are connected to HBCU change and giving back, collectively, that 10,000 can be giving back, up to $5 million a year to that HBCU, specifically by just connecting to the platform. And it's your change. Through our research, it said if you connect your debit card and your credit card, it'll average between $50 and $80 a month that you're giving back to your HBCU. If a quarter of the 40,000 alumni base, 10,000, are all connected, that's going to average to $5 million that's going back to their HBCU. So collectively, you can move. And to the point of, alliance partnerships or strategic partnerships, that's where the corporate, light bulbs come on for this platform. So we're working with, car dealerships. So every transaction, if you're getting an oil change, if, you're getting a tire changed at your car dealership, that transaction, you have a choice to roll up and donate to HBCU change. We can do, we're doing a cents per change platform as well. So we'll work with a grocery store and a specific brand. So if you buy a case of that product, a 6-pack or a 12-pack of soda for this product, it'll roll up to the nearest dollar, and that change, every transaction will go to HBCU change. So strategic partnerships are huge opportunities as well. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because we are tapping into that. So if you wanted to work with us, you can reach out to us at info@hbcuchange.com, and we can talk about strategic partnerships opportunities.
All right. Well, I love it. Now, as for building an app, a lot of people here want to build an app, or they're considering it. Why don't we walk down your experience and your path with that? Because I've heard apps can take anywhere from maybe 40,000, 100,000, all the way down to 15,000, depending on how interactive it is. And then even after you have an app, there's millions of apps on iTunes or whatever the case, on the Apple Store, whatever it is. How do you even get people to start, going, to the app? Because all of us right now have 900 apps on our phone, and we only use probably the top 15, right? So Tell me the process of people right now wanting to build an app and what you went through.
Absolutely. First and foremost is having your North Star. Why are you building this app? And what is the solution? What is the problem it's solving, right? When you identify, your North Star and why you want to develop this app, and then you actually refine and come down to your mission statement of why you're doing it every day, the work that you're putting towards it, then you start to put a framework around it. All right, who's it going to impact, and how is it going to impact their lives? And then the technology that's needed to translate that to an app. And that's where a developer comes into the picture, because they can actually help with framing how that app will function and how a user will have their experience. The user experience is very important. You can have the best idea in the world, but if you don't put a proper framework into position to, downloading the app, to now what is the first step on the app? All right, what's the next step after that? And that, when I say framework, actually step by step, what that looks like, what it feels like, and put yourself in that user's shoes to know what are the things they're going to look for, what are the questions they're going to ask, if they run into issues, who can they reach out to? So is that function going to be available? So being able to ask specific questions of how you want a user to experience your app to a developer will tell you everything about the developer. It'll let you know how experienced they are. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Because
It'll
I
let
want
you.
to know, where do you get the developers? How do you source them, and what do you lay out? I mean, and I'm asking you because I've had people that build apps, so I'm not asking you because I know. I'm asking you because I really want
Yeah.
to know. How do you start costing out what you should lay out, and where do you find these developers?
Yeah, you have to start with the budget. Know what your budget is and stick to it. It's the same as creating an event. It's the same as if you're going shopping. You have your budget. And
But where's
if
the low end? Where's the low end? 5, 1,000,
as
15,000?
far as
What do you
but
expect?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So to get a top-notch ad, it's gonna start at least at $20,000. Period.
$20,000 for a where? Okay, all right,
Depending on how functional and what your app
right.
is. If you're doing a blog app where I'm writing articles and every time I post my article is going to the app and people are just checking the app for content, you could develop that for $1,000, $1,500, two thousand
Got it.
dollars. I'm talking about business. If you're looking to actually have a functional app that's turning, it's not a hobby, it's a business. You're looking at investing at least $25,000 to get all the kinks out, to do updates, proper, framework in order for it to function. For me, we were lucky. We have developer friends. Like I always talk about having an advisory board of people who are in different industries, technology, finance, legal, to be able to tap into if you ever have an idea or a concept. So when we wanted to develop the app, we had a developer friend and we just asked them all the questions, before we
Right.
even took the step of investing. So we were afforded that ability. So that's the beauty of what LinkedIn does. LinkedIn, there are people on there who are developers. You can also go onto Fiverr or one of these apps to be able to find developers. There are developers throughout all these platforms that you can actually hire that might be sitting in India, that might be sitting in Saudi Arabia or other countries that will do it. What will cost $20,000 to do here in the States can cost you $5,000 if you get somebody overseas.
And how do but everybody, I want you guys, whether it's a website being built or an app, you got to make sure that the person is reputable and you sign some kind of contract, because again, they can also hold you hostage to your product
Yeah.
and or whatever the case is, and they may hit you back up later on. You owe me another 5 or 10. You don't give it to them, and they turn the whole damn thing off. So be extremely like in any deal, always have your paperwork written out and very, very clear, because if the foundation of the deal is not correct, you leave yourself open for litigation and or other kind of stuff.
No, 100%. You have to do your due diligence, and that's with everything. You have to check out the ratings if you're on one of the sites. You have to ask for references to be able to talk to people about it. You don't just jump off the bridge. Do your due diligence, do your research, ask the right questions. One of the things that we need to learn how to do is research. So being able to research and see, some of the work that they've previously done, and reach out to those people to talk about that experience that they had with that developer and so forth. So it's any industry, definitely do the due diligence.
How do you go about, first of all, getting the right contacts over there in each division that you want to go after, whether it is supply chain, whether it is advertising, marketing, whether
Yeah.
it is sponsorship? How do you get to the right contacts, and what do you need to do to skip past the noise? And I know it's not easy, because listen, if I get hit up 1,000,000 times and I'm only one person, imagine, Miller Coors, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they got to be getting hit up a massive amount. But can you give us any kind of, uh, not secrets, but any kind of techniques you've seen that generally could work? And it doesn't mean that it's 100% guaranteed, but what you have seen work.
Yeah, first and foremost, you have to have an understanding of what you're offering, your true offering is to an organization. Because what tends to happen is we feel as if just because I have 1,000 people that follow me, or 1,000 customers, or 10,000, or I do events and I get 30,000 people, doesn't mean that those 30,000 people are going to translate into supporting a strategic partner. So it's understanding your demographic. You have to fully understand who your audience is and break that down to the demo, their age demographic, where they live, what they like, what they don't like. You need to tap into that audience and scale and break that down to understand who your audience truly is, package it in a one pager or deck, and present it to the organization you're looking to partner with. Now, when I say that, understand that life is not cookie cutter. You can't just have one deck and feel like you're going to pass that one deck out to 30 organizations and it's going to translate to all 30 organizations. Every organization is different. Every organization has different goals. every year they have goals that they're trying to achieve. It might be 3 years out they're trying to achieve this goal, innovation that they're trying to achieve, a specific audience they're trying to, appeal to. It can be this year we're trying to speak to the 25 to 33-year-old African-American male. Next year it can be, all right, now, we want to reach out to the Latina X community.
Is there any, Steve, is there any database or any way to collect where a company's agenda is? Because you're absolutely right. Listen, and so whether you're talking a huge corporation, you're talking about just pitching Daymond John. If you pitched Daymond John 10 years ago, you would have realized that if you pitched me a clothing company, I had 10 of them and 8 of them were dead. The last thing I wanted was another clothing company. If you pitch a venture capital company and you want, and I've shared this with people before, as you know this, Steve, you have something that is, argument's sake, it's medical tech, but you go and pitch a venture capital company, they only you heard about them, they into technology, but they're into financial tech, fintech. Well, right. You pitch them something for $1 million. It's in medical tech. First of all, their criteria is I got $100 million and I'm only going to invest in 10 companies. I don't want to write 100 $1 million checks. I want to write 10 $10 million checks, and they got to be in financial technology. And I got to be able to get out of my business, out of the investment in 5 to 7 years. You would have wasted all your time pitching them this idea that they, no matter how great it is, it just wasn't for them. So when you look at Miller Cause or any of these things and they say, well, you know what, our agenda recently has been to market to the LGBTQ community or to the young community or to the cause related community, a social injustice community. Where do you find that criteria of what they're doing to be able to tap in?
The brands tell you this. Again, you have to do your due diligence and research. On their website, they're going to have information of the programs that they've done, what their agenda is, what their sustainability report is that they release every year. They're going to tell you what's passionate to them.
Sustainability report. Okay, I like that.
Right, and it's going to tell you that. And then also look at Instagram, see what advertisement they've been putting out, billboards, commercials. They're telling you who their audience is based off of who they're casting in the commercials. They're telling you who their audience is and who they're trying to attach to based off the billboards and who you see in the billboards. They're telling you this. You just have to pay attention. And to find them, there's a few things you can do. One, again, you can go on LinkedIn and type in brand manager, procurement. If you're looking to get a job, you can look into, different titles that are within that organization.
So just so people know, procurement is the people that acquire the packaging and or the goods and stuff like that. So just so you know to type in the right words, because people may say, I don't know what people. I mean, listen, I'm not the brightest tool in the shed, but I may hit up like, yo, who be buying stuff over there? So it's called procurement. You know what I mean? Just so people know.
Yeah, and you put in these titles and you find brand managers. These are the people that are managing the brands. Every organization within Miller Coors, they have Noah Light, Coors Light, Blue Moon, Peroni. So there's a brand manager for each brand. So you're going to be reaching out to a specific individual for that brand. So if you feel like the product or service that you're offering aligns with that brand messaging and what you see them doing in the market, that's somebody that you can align with, and through your demographics of the research you've done of who your audience is and what you're offering, you put it in a one-pager or a deck and you send it out, right, to attract. And then other ways is to 10 different conferences. Right now is a little bit different because we're not actually attending CES or some of the big conferences across the country, but all the agencies are there. Those are the people that are actually coming up with the concepts for the organizations. So if it's not just learning who the people are inside the walls of that company, it's identifying who the agency of record is, which you can find online for these companies, because they're the people who are looking for the talent for programs. They're the people who are making some of the decisions of how the budgets are being spent. They're the people who are coming up with the creative ideas and concepts. They're the people who are suggesting different media outlets to align themselves with. So not in addition to the brand managers and procurement within the organization, you also want to find the agencies of record and befriend those people, because those are the people who are suggesting the ideas to the organization and the people behind those walls.
I think that's a brilliant point. Somebody said I'm falling asleep while watching you, but the thing is, when you look down and you're not looking at this, it looks like your eyes are closed. So I want people to know that I'm engaged in this, because I think you brought up another good point too. When you find agencies of records, think about this: the agency of record is supposed to, their job is to spend money and get the brand out there. So that's what they're looking for. And as well as you're giving them stuff that makes their job easier, whether ideas, concepts, products, or locations, whatever the case is. And that makes them that much better to the client. And also that agency of record has several other clients. Usually they're
Yes.
very, very big. So maybe if you're pitching them for Miller Coors and it doesn't work for them, then maybe they have Ford, maybe they have Apple, you know? So I never thought about it like that. A lot of people do not pitch advertising and marketing agencies when they're really a lot of the ones who are coming up with the ideas and or executing the ideas for a brand.
Yeah,
Also, you know, when you,
and you have to think about it, right? Those are the people who are going out. Those are the people attending the conferences. Those are the people that are connected to the streets. Come up with the overarching strategy, how they want to, you know, who their target audience is and what that strategy is going to be. But it's the agency that executes that plan and comes up with the nitty details that actually bring it to life.
and you know what I've also seen also when people have ideas, concepts, or you know, looking for sponsorship or some kind of strategic relationship, they go right to marketing. But a lot of times I've seen people say, I'm going to take the same package and I'm going to put another spin on it that I sent to marketing, and I'm going to send it over to the philanthropy side, because
Yeah,
philanthropy side, they don't get a lot of love, a lot of them, and they have money to
yeah.
really execute on the brand's behalf. So don't just think about this one area, especially if your product or you or whatever is going to create other change, which is obviously going significant change. We
Yeah.
copyrighted that, right?
And,
Significant change. All right.
and I think you made an excellent point, because our tour, Miller Lite Tap the Future, came from my community affairs budget, right? That
Right.
was an opportunity for us to make a big brand smaller and connected to the people. And through that budget and showing that we can still make impact and still impact the bottom line, the brand came and invested more into the program to expand it and make it bigger, right? So to your point, you got to think about it. There's community affairs, there's sales, and on the sales side, those are the people that are retail. So in addition to sales, there's trade marketing. Trade marketing is the type of marketing that you do for a big box chain, whether it's a grocery store or it's a convenience store, a C-store, or a package store, a liquor store. This marketing is very different from the advertisement, the above the line, the billboards, the TV spots that you see. You know, when you're looking at how to actually market to somebody that goes into a grocery store, it's very different. So those are different budgets, you know. And then you talk about your alliance partnerships, your partnerships in marketing with, you know, your sports teams, having a partnership with an NBA team or an NFL team. That's a whole other approach of marketing within the organization. So to your point, Daymond, there are so many pillars and opportunities for investment within a corporate space, but we tend to only focus on the marketing because that's what we see. We see the social media posts, we see the commercials, but we don't realize there's a whole other world and a whole other list of employees that are out there doing work that you can build relationships within your own community.
What and I think to button up that part, I want to get into something else with you about how you working with brands, but and other stuff in your book. But what trade publications have you been reading lately? And I know there are no more magazines, but back in the days when I was with FUBU, it was when I was doing FUBU, it was WWD. We would read, you know, Women's Wear Daily. We read other things. So, are you reading Ad Age? Are you reading? Where are people like you and brands really?
I get it
It's Ad
delivered.
Age.
I get it
Ad Age.
delivered all the time, and there's something to online, and there's something to actually flipping through the pages as well. If they're going to take time to actually put something in paper, it's something that you need to pay attention to, especially now with technology. So Ad Age, Forbes, and so forth. Blavity. I'm tapping into, you know, all the
Don't
resources
come on,
that
man. You
are.
know, hey, you're too close to it. Stop running it off really quick like that. Ad Age, because people are
Ad
trying to write
Age.
this down. Steve, come on, man. Ad Age.
I'm trying to put out as much information as possible within our window. So
You said Blavity.
you have Ad Age, you have Blavity, you have Forbes. You know, these are
Inc.
Inc. Magazine, Black Enterprise. I tap into all these outlets because, again, organizations and companies are investing into these platforms as strategic partners because they have an audience they're trying to reach. So you're doing research in itself by acknowledging the advertisers within those pages or within that website to know who's spending right now, what they're spending on, and the audience they're trying to reach. And if you understand all those dynamics within each publication, each media outlet, you're already a leg up because you know who that audience is they're trying to reach, and you can tailor your pitch deck, your one pager to speak to that, so they know that you understand the audience they're trying to reach. So it's very important to not only tap into these and just read the pages, but do your research. See what brands are spending dollars in those pages. See what events they're coming up with, what platforms they're leveraging. They're telling you everything within those pages. You just have to take a step back and actually take a deep dive and understand who, you know, what they're telling you within these pages or media outlets.
So I want to talk really quick about, you know, how diverse, listen, you wrote The Mind of a Winner, but you also are very diverse in your mind and the way that you put things together. So you have one music fest, right? It's a big music festival. How many people attended every year in Atlanta? I was there 2 years ago.
Yeah, we get 55,000 people to Atlanta. It's the fastest growing progressive music festival in the Southeast.
Okay, so several different stages, and that's working. And then we did the Millercore Tap the Future. Then you're doing the HBCU app. So you're showing yourself in pitch competition for this big brand, driving 50,000 people to a certain event in a certain state at a very specific time. Very hard to move those type of people. Logistically, you know, putting it all together. Then you're talking about something where it's in fintech to some extent. And you also, I remember you did something with Kenny Burns. It was a small tour for women, I believe.
For women only.
Now, what was that tour? Tell me about that tour.
Yeah, so for women only was a platform that myself, Kenny Burns, and Anaton Barriola did a 5-city tour across the country for women from married men. So there's always a lot of talk. There's a lot of, you know, concepts, ideas, but we never really saw anybody, especially from the married perspective, wanting to be vulnerable and share our actual insights of what we thought when we got engaged, how long, you know, before we got engaged, the process of going through marriage, marrying somebody who's just as much of a boss as you, and, you know, being able to handle that as a man, having an alpha woman, and being able to share those insights, you know, and we did that tour across the country, and we were having open dialogue with women, and the conversations were amazing. To be able to be that vulnerable and share the mistakes and share the things that worked for us. It wasn't us telling women what to do and how to approach it. It was sharing our experience and letting them react to it, and then answering questions that they might have had on their mind. So it was definitely a 5-city tour we did, which was phenomenal. Shout out to Cavarcier, who it aligned with their strategy. They were trying to appeal and attract more women. So it just made sense. And we're able to bring that story to life and put together that 5-city tour.
Yeah, so first of all, I truly believe in that because I always say that if you want to get the best insight on, other people, you don't talk to people who are just like you. Men shouldn't talk to men about how to deal with a woman. A man should get advice from women on how to deal with a woman, and vice versa. You know, it's kind of like if we were going to fight the Russians, I wanna hire an ex-Russian military general to tell me how to get the insights of the Russians. So, but I say all that to say how diverse your offerings are, and in every one of those, you were able to bake it well enough to present it to Millercore or present it to your sponsors for the one music or to Cavassier and stuff like that. So, just give me a little bit of your unique perspective on how you're able to package that, because that's really what you do. I mean, your company is the One Group, the One Venture Group, and you handle clients like maybe it's going to be some people here, or obviously you handle big clients. How do you do that and be so diverse at it? Because all of us get held back and we get put in a box. Before I was on Shark Tank, it was Daymond John only knows how to sell baggy jeans. He's the hip hop guy. He's going to come in the room, gold teeth, break dancing, jeans hanging off his ass. Every one of us here are put into a box all the time. How do you present it and bake it well enough where you can pivot in those different ways and come up with unique selling propositions to people?
Yeah, at One Venture Group, we call ourselves social engineers. There's a science to it. Like I said, you can't approach every situation as cookie cutter. We didn't take for women only and just blanket it and feel as if every brand could align or attach to it. We understood what our strengths were and what we were trying to offer. We packaged it. We understood who the audience was. We put it together, and through us being social engineers, we put together what the user experience would be. So we're doing this event. There's an opportunity for tasting. There's an opportunity for content that we can develop that has a message that you can share on your platform brand and our platform. There's an opportunity for us to expand not only in your key target markets, but if there are other markets that you want to expand and grow into, we can provide this offering into those markets. We're going to have the audience there, and now your brand can come to life organically without you having to force a message through social media, right? It can be leveraged through our platform and our network because we know our audience best. So brand X, this is how your brand can fit into our world. It's the same thing working in corporate. You need to bring your authentic self. They don't hire you to come into an organization and be like everybody else. They hire you for you to come into the organization and lend your creativity, your ideas, your innovation into their world, right? So what are you offering to them? It's the same thing when we're working with brands. It's identifying the brands. Obviously, first is identifying the platforms and programs that you want to create and how it aligns with who you are, and identifying your strengths and what you could bring to life. And then identifying the brands. So for women only, we had a list of XY brands that we wanted to work with that we thought would fit for this platform. Same thing with One Music Fest. Same thing with HBCU Change. Same thing when I went on tour for the Mind of a Winner. So it's identifying which brands make sense to your organization and how you can bring their brand to life. I think where a lot of people go wrong is trying to, one, force fit who your audience is to everybody, right? One, there's not enough time in the world. So the first 5 that you try to might not have made sense at all. And you just lost 2 days. And now on day 3, that brand, that the 6th brand you wanted to reach out to already has their plan baked. And if you reached out to me a week prior, possibly could have happened. So be very strategic and intentional with who you're reaching out to make sure that, one, it's a true partnership. That's why I hate the word sponsorship. It's a partnership. It's going to benefit you brand, and it's going to benefit our platform. We're going to come together to make magic. It's not about me trying to force my audience to you because my 50,000 people might not care about your product or might not be interested in your product. So it's my due diligence to do the research to understand my audience so I know when I'm reaching out to a brand, it makes sense.
No, it makes sense too, man. And so I want everybody to be able to understand more about the way you think. And so, make sure that they copy book. What was the book out about 4 years ago? You initially came out with it, right?
Yeah.
The Mind of a Winner. Really, there's a lot of stuff in there. And Steve, I got just some random questions. How tall are you?
I'm 6'6". So if I stand
6'6",
up,
and how tall is your wife?
My wife is 6'1".
That's all? Well, everybody looks taller than me. I'm 5'7", and a half. That half is really important.
But every time you see her, she's in some heels. Outside of being on the court, she's in some heels. So in some heels, she could be 6'4", 6'5".
How tall is Theo Ratliff, you think?
Theo is about 6'10", 6'11".
I remember he took one. He stayed in one of my homes for a while, and I remember, like when you go to Miami, my man and his wife is really tall, and my bed was probably about 6 feet. Do your feet hang off the bed and shit like that when you go to hotels and stuff like that? I just want to keep it 100. This is important for me, man. I want to know like that. Like your feet dangle off the bed.
So the secret for a 6'6" person to on any bed in a hotel is sit diagonally. So if I'm sitting side to side, then that fits for me. If I'm sitting, if I sit from top to bottom, then it's going to be a little bit tougher. Yeah,
I never thought about that. So you sit diagonal. I love that.
Ha ha.
All right, man. All right, man. Before you go, man, how old is your boy now?
He's 3 years old, and then we have another that we're expecting in January. So we're growing our family, another baby boy.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you one. I'm going to just give you a treat to give to him, when he gets a little older. All right, Steve, you ready?
Yep.
All right. Why don't skeletons ever go trick-or-treating?
You got me.
Because they have no body to go with. Come on. They're going to get worse by tomorrow. They're going to get worse by tomorrow. Let that wash over you for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. And my son loves skeletons, so that's a good
I know this is uncomfortable for you, man. You got to act like you give it and you're laughing. But no problem, brother. I love you, man. Happy Thanksgiving, man. Thank you so much for everything you do and you continue to do. Man, I look forward to seeing you and giving you a big old hug, brother.
Absolutely. Happy holidays to you and the whole Shark Group family. It's all love. You know, I love everybody. So love you, appreciate you. And everybody, don't be afraid of reinvention. Reinvention's a part of life. You know, just understand what your North Star is and work hard and be courageous. All right?
That's right. That's right. All right, brother. Thank you.
All right. Later, D.
You never know what you're going to learn. You're going to learn about skeletons, bad dad jokes, going diagonal on the bed or whatever it was. But more importantly, how to pitch brands, how to package it, you know, how to understand where they're looking, what they're posting out about, you know, certain divisions, the right words to say, procurement and or community affairs, CMOs or whoever you need to hit, brand managers, or more importantly, hit the people that they're giving the job to take all the pitches from, advertising companies, advertising, you know, companies of record, you know, and so that's really, really important. I hope that you learn from my guy, Steve, and this dude is like absolutely amazing. And I'm going to keep bringing on more and more people like that. Also, when you go out and develop an app, what's your North Star? You know, on the low end, it sounds like, you know, you're going to get something that is pretty decent at 20, but I'm sure that that's just the bottom. You can obviously go all the way to millions of dollars on apps, but make sure that there's a specific need for it. Also understand how to, from the fundamentals of getting into people like app developers or contracts or having contracts that you make sure that you are protected, because we've heard a massive amount of nightmares about whether it's people who have developed a mold for you or did samples for your engineering or apps or websites, and then they want more money because, again, you're learning it. They've been doing it all their lives, and maybe you truly did have a misunderstanding of what was going on, or maybe they're just not good people. So be very, very careful about all those things that that hopefully you heard today. And there you have it. I'm going to probably try to bring on one other person. Somebody said I need an antacid. Absolutely. You hit that right on the head. I had an early Thanksgiving dinner yesterday with a bunch of my team, and it was absolutely delicious. I'm going to try to bring on one other person and see what we got here, and then I'm going to let all you guys bounce and get to hang out with your family and all that other stuff. All right, let me see. This is. Let's look at Malcolm Sutherland. Malcolm Sutherland.
Hey,
what's up, man?
Yeah, good. Just over in Scotland. We're
You're
just
in Scotland?
Yeah.
What time is it over there?
It's like 8 o'clock
8
in
o'clock.
the evening. Yeah.
Good. Well, welcome to welcome to my Instagram show. Talk to me, man. You got a good question or a good comment that we could all learn from?
Yeah, just to say I've been following you the past couple of years. I saw you in person at Grant Cardone's conference in Miami a couple of years ago. Seems a long time ago now, but yeah, I just want to say thanks. I've learned quite a lot from you, and just in my business and stuff. I do e-commerce, and it's kept me motivated while we were put into like a level 4 lockdown until early December. So it's not quite full lockdown, but yeah, just most everything except essential stuff is closed, and then but it's good. I managed to stay motivated and push through and sort of just focus on what I need to do while everyone else is sort of scattered and things like that. And
yeah, well, I appreciate that. Are you guys locked down over there as well in Scotland?
Yeah, in our region, yeah, it's now sort of region by region until like early December. So for like our city, yeah, they've done it to try and like control the spread based on what based on like the numbers in different regions. They have stricter rules. So yes. Same
here. But listen, it's something that we all got to go through, and it's a lot of people think it's a conspiracy and this and that. But if the whole world globally is shut down, there's a reason for it, And I like to say over here in America, like one of my friends said to me, you know, if police are okay with black people wearing masks, then there's definitely a bigger concern, right? So you got a question for me, man? And I appreciate the fact that you saw me over at 10X and that hopefully I've been able to give you a little bit of insight or inspiration. Any kind of question you can toss my way?
Just about what do you see much future? Do you see retail picking back up in the new year? Or do you think online is going to be the way to go? Because like also I feel like a lot of places are shutting down, really struggling, and even if places do open back up, I think maybe New Year will people still be scared to go into cities to shop or something? I don't know.
Yeah, so
I
I
just
think
don't know
that
what to do.
I think that retail is going to struggle from now on unless you have a unique selling proposition. However, could it be good to have retail? Yes, but online you have to definitely have that because let's say a person goes into your store, you want to be able to sell them once they go home, right? The store was kind of the
Mhm.
carrot, and then you want to follow up with them. So like even today, listen, if you had a retail shop and you were selling apparel, and you know that you're going to have a smaller amount of people coming into the store, well, then put a runway in the damn store and a couple of lights. So you have these kids or people who are dressing and feeling like they can walk down a runway and throw that up on their Instagram, or have a streaming camera of all the people coming in, and they can be personal stylists and do stuff like that.
Yeah,
And then they're sharing that with what if each one of them had 5,000 people on social media that are following them, and now they're sharing it with those people, and those people are now coming and tapping into your store. So I think that retail is going to exist, but you have to be able to create an environment where people want to go there. If not, they're just going to stay home.
yeah, that's a great point. I think because especially with like personal branding is coming up so much recently. Um, People are buying from things like where they want a lot more like connection and like understanding the story behind products and sort of a much more human side to things as well, isn't there? And
Yeah,
that
and you also got to think about what type of retail you're talking about, right? So, listen,
yeah,
today is the busiest day of travel, in the world. But if you decide to open retail in an airport, totally different, right? Because in an airport, you have a captivated audience that can't bring liquids in, they can't get an Amazon delivery in, but yet they're there and they most likely have a decent amount of money because they have the ability to travel by air. Right, so that's a form of retail that will probably really do well. On the flip side, are you repositioning where your retail presence in? The reason why Tesla started to skyrocket so much is that Elon Musk decided I'm not going to have independent car showroom because number one, the female is the number one reason why cars are purchased because they're either dictating what car they want at home or dictating to guys what car I really, really like, right?
yeah,
So they don't want to go to car dealerships. They feel intimidated. So what did Elon Musk do? He put very small showrooms in the middle of malls. Why? Because when the female's in there shopping, she walks by, she doesn't feel intimidated. She looks at the car, and now it's in her mind. And when the male is in there with the female, like when I'm with my wife, I got to just sit there like a bozo for 2 hours while she tries dresses on and smells perfumes. I ain't got to do. So what do? I walk down to the middle of the mall and I look at the damn Tesla. All of a sudden, next thing you know, I'm buying the damn Tesla. So, there's a lot of different ways that you should think about retail, and be able to execute it with what ways work with you.
yeah. That's a great point. And I have read one of Elon Musk's books. I think it's by Ashley Vance, like his main biography that mentions that. And yeah, and it makes you think, like, especially with technology changes as well, that how like the layout of even cities themselves could change with all this. Because with that example of Tesla, maybe you won't see as much like brick and mortar car dealerships in the future. Maybe it will be online. Maybe it will be, as you say, like in the malls, and maybe not in paying by what like cryptocurrency and whatever model. And also like or even like the model you pay for it, you're not necessarily paying cash. A lot of people even just lease their cars now over here as well, and don't even, and just change it every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, brother, I'm gonna let you go because I know my Instagram only stays a certain amount of time. I think it's an hour, or whatever the case is, man. But I appreciate you, man. I love that accent, brother. And thank you for supporting us through by Scotland, and all you guys stay safe over there. And I'll be speaking to you in the future, man.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.